Hey, my name's Anna Gazayan, and I'm the founder of VitalMIST. So we're VitalMIST, and we're an accessible and effective means to drug administration. So these are the Kapiras, and last summer I was really lucky to spend 4 months living with them while I worked in Malawi. They taught me everything from how to cook Malawian food to how to barter with the tailor. They even tried to teach me how to dance. And although it was an amazing experience, it was also really eye-opening to some of the issues with access to basic needs such as healthcare. And in countries like Malawi, where cholera and malaria and dehydration plague the country, access to proper healthcare is essential. Take malaria, for example. There's over 216 million cases every year. And of that, 410,000 patients have seizures. Now, if you have a seizure in a developing country, you'll often be treated with an IV, which can be dangerous for both the patient and the doctor. Another alternative is nasal atomizers. These convert a liquid drug into a mist, which is put in the patient's nose and quickly absorbed. However, these devices are quite expensive, and so a lot of developing countries don't have access to them. So when I got back from Malawi, I wanted to find a way that I could design for better healthcare technology for families like mine. But I wanted to look further into these atomizers. What do they actually do? Not only do they treat patients with seizures, but they treat patients who are overdosing, so with the drugs such as narcotics. They'll sedate patients, and they also are used for pain medication. But once I began talking to doctors and nurses about these atomizers, I realized that there's actually issues with them here in North America. In 2014, the FDA put out this statement recalling Teleflex's MAD 300, the most widely used nasal atomizer in North America, because it produced a straight stream of liquid instead of a mist, and a mist is essential to be properly absorbed by the patient. So I saw this as an opportunity not only to advance healthcare in developing countries, but also here in North America. So that's what we did. We've designed VitalMIST. It's an attachment for a generic syringe with a new nozzle design, which is really easy to use. It also creates a mist every time, so it's easily absorbed by the patient. But how are we going to get this into the market? By targeting mid-sized medical device companies that have existing manufacturing facilities, have existing channels into the North American market, and are interested in a new product to add to their line, so they have competitive advantage over some of the larger companies, we'll be selling the licensing to our device to these companies so that we can get into the North American market as quickly as possible. There's about 32 million atomizers used every year, which is about a $224 million market. But this doesn't include atomizers that would be used for at-home purposes or in the naloxone kits that we see here in Newfoundland. But what do our North American sales have to do with helping my family in Malawi? By using a portion of our profits, we'll be working with distribution and manufacturing centers in developing countries to allow for access to our device to anyone that needs it. So we're a team of 2 engineers that are really passionate about entrepreneurship, innovative design, and international development. But we're really lucky to have a team of advisors backing us up. From family physician and CEO of a medical device company that can help us push sales in North America, to a specialist with the World Health Organization that can identify the developing countries that most need our help. But getting a medical device into market is not a simple process. Luckily, VitalMIST is well on our way to having our device improved in North America, with our first prototype being tested in fluids facilities here at Memorial University, and a projected start date for animal testing in June of 2018. So using our $10,000 from the cup, we'll be leveraging funding sources such as NRC and Innovate-NL to complete our laboratory testing, to hire a provisional patent, or a lawyer to complete our provisional patent, to accelerate our progress to animal testing, and also to grow our team. We're looking for a business lead with a background in the medical sector. So we're VitalMIST, and we're designing an accessible and effective means to drug administration so that families like mine in Malawi can have better access to healthcare. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Do you have any questions from the judges?
Yes, we reversed the order of the judges for the second half.
Throw me off.
Because it's more fair. Great presentation, Anna. Who's your biggest competitor?
So Teleflex's MAD 300 was put back on the market after they were recalled. So now they're still the largest in North America, but they're put out with a warning. So the device actually didn't change after the recall. It just still doesn't function quite as good as it would, but they're our main competitor.
And Teleflex is just a separate company. It's not owned by one of the larger pharmaceuticals, et cetera?
No, so Teleflex is its own entity.
And is it 224 million? Seems, for us it's big, but it's a relatively small market, would you say, in the healthcare product market in terms of overall size? Or?
So in North America, these are mostly used for sedating patients in pediatrics.
Right.
The market is quite large, but the other opportunities to use it, for example, if you have epilepsy right now, you might be given small pills that someone in your family could put under your tongue if you're having a seizure, which is pretty crazy because they might lose their finger. So a potential market would be that we could sell these devices through pharmaceutical companies to families, that they could use a drug to resist seizures and be sold through there. So there's other streams that we could be using besides just the hospitals that we would look into in the future.
So why aren't companies doing that now? Because that seems a much better way of distributing drugs than just, like you say, putting it on people's tongues.
Yeah, so right now it's because the device doesn't work. So because there's nothing out there, they haven't started using it.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Very impressive. Actually difficult to try to find a question because you covered so much so well. So congratulations on that. One thing that I seem to be missing is you talked about leveraging the $10,000 and using that to get another 30 or 40. Have you defined where you are applicable in terms of other funding entities, what funds are available, and where you might be able to get the additional?
So outside of this, or?
Yes. So what, like Innovate NL or National Research Council, have you looked that far into where you can get additional funds?
Yeah, so I was speaking with someone the other day that mentioned that the funding that NRC has would be something that we can definitely leverage. So that's something, I haven't had any meetings yet, but that's something that I'll be looking into in the future. So using sources like that to leverage the 10,000, and then outside of that, looking into other funding sources that are available that we don't need to leverage. So things like the Bill Gates Foundation and stuff like that, that we could hopefully pull other funding for if we need it in the future.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello. In the proposal that the judges saw before tonight, there is a mention of your desire to create distribution centers in the developing countries. So set up shop in Malawi so that you are manufacturing these, or have a say in the manufacturing of this product to keep costs low. And I understand why. I didn't hear it here tonight, and I'm wondering if that's still something you're considering.
So that's our long-term goal, is that once we have a big revenue stream within North America, that ideally will be having the distribution centers actually set up in these developing countries. But for now, as long as we are getting funding and using, say there's a distribution and manufacturing center in South Africa, that's a lot closer to some of these developing countries than it would be trying to distribute from here in North America. So as an initial start, we'll be starting with some already existing distributors and manufacturers, but hopefully as an end goal, we'll be having them set up through our company ourselves.
Do you have concerns about that transition? So licensing or letting a distribution center, as you said, in South Africa, take this product now and then trying to take it back yourself as a long-term goal?
Yeah, and that's something we would definitely have to look into when we're setting up the contracts in the beginning, is making it very clear that if that's a path we want to take, what the timeline will be for them to be selling. So that's definitely something we'll have to consider.
Okay, and just to say, I bring it up because I think it's a very unique value proposition in terms of business responsibility in the world, and I think a lot of advisors and a lot of investors are going to try and pull you away from that plan. So just to emphasize it here tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Anna. That was a great presentation. Playing upon what Anna, too, just said, for you, is this more of a social cause or a business opportunity? Like, if you had a choice, and let's say you can mass distribute this and not make anything off it, not go on patent, would you do it?
So for me, the desire to do this came from working in Malawi. So I'm definitely very passionate about the development side of this. And that's the reason that I want to work with existing companies that have manufacturing facilities, because we can then put the load of that onto those companies, and I can begin to focus on other potential accessible devices that I could be designing using my engineering abilities. So I think I love the business side of it, and I think it's really important, but my passion lies in the social side, so trying to design for as many accessible technologies as possible.
Thank you. I have a friend, a peer in a business group. He actually has one of the world's largest distributors for medical devices like this. So, and he operates out of India, and he basically takes stuff going off patent and does a generic version of it. So that option, what I'm talking about, is actually there. And my other question is, has anyone questioned if this works? Like if you gave this, you didn't speak to a physician and you gave it to 20 different physicians, Anna's not there, what would they honestly say? This is the best thing ever, or it's pretty good, it's better? What would they really say?
Yeah, so even with our initial prototype, I took videos just on my iPhone to show the difference between the existing product and our product, and using just like the slow-mo on the iPhone, you can see that the existing product just pushes out a straight stream of water, like if you turned your tap on and it was just pouring out, whereas ours is a clear mist. So even to like the naked eye right away, you can see that it's better. I haven't shown the prototype yet to any doctors because it's currently being tested, but hopefully they'd have the same reaction.
And my third question is, like, do you have, you seem to really understand the provision of medicine. Do you have a medical background or family members or?
No, I actually don't. I'm part of the entrepreneurial work term in healthcare, and so we got to shadow for 2 weeks, and so I've basically just been picking as many brains as possible to understand the healthcare behind this. So that's probably one of my weaknesses, but it's been an opportunity to learn a lot about healthcare.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. So I'd first like to say, really fantastic presentation, and you know, it's for me anyway to hear a story evolve like this. You know, it's a real problem that you're solving in the developing world and in the Western world, and how you went over to Africa and came up with that solution. It's just really, really compelling and a great presentation.
Thank you.
One question that I have is, they're kind of two questions but related. Your personal buy-in to this company moving forward, and your belief. I've developed products with development teams, and you know, sometimes I believed 50% it was going to work, sometimes I believed 100% it's going to work. Do you believe 120% that this product is going to work, and are you planning moving forward to be a part of this as it becomes successful, you know, to direct your career with this product?
Yeah, for sure. So I didn't realize I'd get so excited about nasal atomizers when I lived in Malawi. But it's been a really interesting process, and I've definitely become really attached to the product and how it's being designed. So I think for sure that I'm going to see this through. And then I think seeing how this project goes and the successes it has, it'll motivate me to work on similar projects for other needs that are out there for families like mine in Malawi.
Baby,